Hi monorail fans, and welcome back to Dean Park. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Peco Twistlock Point motors, and I'm going to be installing it both to 00 gauge and TT120 track work. I'll take you through the whole process from preparation, installation, wiring and operation of this easy to use product. The Peco Twistlock Point motor has been out for a few years now, and I've previously stuck to the PL10E point motors here at Dean Park. However, I was helping a mate out on his new TT120 layout and he wanted to go down the Twistlock route. So we bought a few, and really we were surprised at how easy they were to fit and operate. Peco supplied two versions of this product. You've got the PL1000, which is just the Twistlock point motor, and you've also got the PL1001, which is the point motor with the twin micro switch. And the twin micro switch is ideal if you want to wire up your frog to switch polarity with your turnouts, and also wire some LEDs at a control panel using the terminals on the micro switch. The product comes with a full range of instructions, template for installation, fixings, as well as full instructions for wiring up the twin micro switch. I'll show you how to install it to the TT120 track, which is a unifrog point, and the 00 gauge electrofrog turnout. I'll show you both below and above the baseboard installation as well. The product comes with a drilling template for above baseboard use, which is handy for storage yards where putting it or hiding it under the baseboard isn't really required. And as you can see there at the left hand side, it caters for a range of gauges. Right, we'll start with the 00 gauge piece of track here, and what I will say about these Twistlock point motors is that they're easier to fit before the track has been permanently fixed and ballasted in position. If it is, you're maybe better steering towards the PL10E from Peco, and I'll put a pop-up banner in the top right hand side of the screen just now to take you to that video that I did a while back to show you how to fit those particular point motors. However, back to the Twistlock. What I've done is I've slid the template underneath the track, and what you're really looking to do is make sure that this circle here, the centre of this circle, is in line with the hole in the tie bar when it's in its central position. So you just kind of got to try and hold it in position. So I'll slide that in. Now it's there, I've got that in centre. You have to trust me here, and there's a nice little line here to tell you when it's in line with the tie bar. Okay, and now you'll see that you've got a small drilling hole to go here and one just at the side of the sleeper here, and they've got to be marked in position. Now what you can do is just drill straight through the paper, but what I like to do is take a small pin vise, hand drill through the two small holes, again through the turnout tie bar there, to leave 3 small marks in the ply before then coming in with the slightly bigger drill, and they recommend a 1.5mm diameter. Certainly don't go any bigger than that, or when you start to screw into the baseboard, the screw will not grip or bite because the hole will be too big. Right, I've now got 3 holes drilled there. Remove the point, 2 small 1.5mm and a 6mm in the middle. You notice I drilled a small hole to start with, just as a kind of pilot hole, and then I went in with the 6mm drill bit as recommended in the Peco instructions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the baseboard upside down and fit the screw mounting points underneath where the point's going to go. Right, in the pack you get some accessories required to fit the point. Among that you get 2 screws and these little red brackets. For the under the baseboard mounting you have to break off the small spacer discs there. What you do with that is, it's quite a fidget, but you put them through the screw facing each other, so you end up with that kind of scenario there. That then gets screwed into the baseboard. Pretty easy to do, but what I will say is the slot head screws made out of brass aren't the most durable and the easiest to do. Would be slightly easier with a crosshead screw, but that's what you get, so we'll just go with it. Now the pilot hole that you drilled makes putting this screw in relatively easy, and you've got to get it in so that it's tight and it holds these two spacers, if you like, in position. That's fine. Same with the other one. Feed that one through. And then the other one. Get the pilot hole there. Like so. What you have to do now, if you've not already done so, is fix the turnout into position. And for that I'm going to use some Peco track pins. Once I've done that, I'll be turning the baseboard upside down again to fit the Twistlock point motor through the small hole in the tie bar there. Right, for this application I'm going to use the PL1001, which has the twin micro switch. And the twin micro switch has the pin from the turnout going through this small red rocker valve. So if you do remove this, you've got to make sure that when you put it back on, the pin goes back through this small hole in the rocker, or it won't work when you wire up the micro switch. Then you lock it back into position like so. I'm not going to trim the pin just now, I'm just going to keep it the full length. I would recommend you do that until you've got the point working, and then you can always unlock the twist lock, trim it with a Dremel or a pair of wire cutters, and then feed it back through the hole in the tie bar, which is what I'm going to do now. And then simply lock in position. It's as simple as that. What I've now got then is I've got the pin going through the tie bar there, and I can change the point without too much resistance. I can also check from underneath by moving the pin backwards and forwards, and there doesn't seem to be any issue there. Now that I'm happy with the movement of the tie bar and the point blades, I can now remove this point, and I can trim the pin if I want to at this stage. However, I prefer to wire it all up first, just to make sure everything's operating as it should, and I'll do that later on in the video. Right, same rules apply with the TT. It's easier to install these twist locks before the track's firmly fixed in position and ballasted. I'm just going to pop that down on the tie bar there, line it up with the purple guidelines of the track. You can see there that the turnout tie bar is in the black circle, so I'm fully lined up, and I'm going to drill 1, 2 and then 3 holes in the baseboard. To do that, take a small pin vise to start with, just to get yourself the markings. Do the same there. Watch the point blades. That's quite cleverly designed, all these templates actually, so that you can easily fit them with different gauges of track. So Peco have done a really good job here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the turnout, and I'm going to drill through the middle of that circle in the center. Now there is a bit of leeway, so if you're slightly off, don't panic. There's a bit of leeway with the position of these holes. But you really want to get them as accurately as you can to get the best function from your twist lock. Right, I've now got 3 dots there. I would recommend you just darken these in with a pencil, because sod's law, you'll lift the paper and you'll not be able to see the holes. That's the point now in position, and as I move the tie bar back and forward, this small hole in the tie bar stays within the larger hole in the baseboard. And that's important if you want to be able to have the pin from the twist lock come through the baseboard and through that small hole in the tie bar. You'll notice a small wire here which is connected to the frog. I'll cover that a little bit later on. For this I'm using the Peco PL1001, which is the Twistlock point motor with twin micro switch fitted, and that can be easily detached by just unlocking the twist lock section there as well and put back in, ensuring that the pin goes through the small rocker switch in the bottom of the micro switch, and that clips in. So I've got 3 holes here. The small screw mountings will go in there, and the main hole in the middle there is where the pin will go, and that will go through the tie bar on the turnout. In the pack you get small red brackets. You could probably see 2 of them there. They slide over the screw, and those are the spacers that will allow you to connect the twist lock. So put it into the pilot hole there. Try and start it off by hand if you can, and then a slot screwdriver, flathead. Now it would probably been easier to supply a crosshead here. These screws tend to be quite fidgety to get into the baseboard, but they are what they are and they do the job. And they have to be tight so that when you touch the red washers, they don't slip around too much. That one's still spinning, it's a bit loose. I'll tighten that one up, and I'll also put that one in as well. I now take my twist lock point motor, I feed it through the baseboard, through the tie bar in the turnout, and then all I do is I twist and lock. Job done. From the twist lock you've got 4 cables. You've got 2 green, which is your common return, and these go straight back to your power supply. And you've also got a red and a black, and these go via a switch, a passing contact switch, to the positive side of your power supply. I'll be using a Peco passing contact PL26 for this demonstration. However, you can use a passing contact toggle or any type of switch as long as it is a passing contact, because you don't want a continuous signal going to the solenoid. These work on a pulse, so all you need when you flick the switch is to send a quick signal to the solenoid to flick it one way or the other. If you have a constant supply going into your solenoid, you'll hear a buzzing noise and you'll burn out the solenoid and ruin your point motor. There may be circumstances we need to mount the twist lock on top of the baseboard. For example, you might not have access from underneath, or it might be a storage yard where you're not that bothered about appearance, and it's easier to get to if it's just mounted on top of the baseboard. Full instructions are supplied in the Peco package, as well as above baseboard drilling template, which is easy to follow, and I'll show you that now. If you want to install it on top of the baseboard, it's pretty much the same as underneath with regard to track setup. You can't really do it if it's been ballasted, so when laying the track, you're best to do all the point work fittings as you go. So I've put the template in position here, and there's a small guide as to centralizing the tie bar for a position for a screw. You're going to need 3 screws for this particular setup, and they're all marked out on this template. So I'm going to go ahead just now, mark out and drill those 3 onto the ply baseboard. I've now got 3 small screw holes, and I've got a larger one there for the pin from the bottom of the twist lock. I'm going to have to remove the twin micro switch for this. You can't use that when it's surface mounted. So the pin would just go through there. Now you could trim that just now and not have to bother about putting that hole in there, but I've just done that because I don't want to have to trim that just now. So what I then do is I'm going to fit the 2 screws with the spacers on like so, but I've got to put an additional spacer underneath to lift the point motor off the baseboard ever so slightly. So I'll just pop that in there. Now these go into the holes diagonally opposite the larger hole for the pin. What I've got here is a little plastic bar, and that goes on the bottom pin of the twist lock, which then goes through the hole and the twist lock gets locked in position. There's a small hole at the end of this rod which hooks over the tie bar of the turnout, and I've got a little gap here, and you can probably see the little hole there. I'm going to put the screw in, which is the guide screw. It holds the rod in position, stops it coming off the little hook. If it's too loose, that's what will happen. If it's too tight, the rod will not move, so you're just going to get the right kind of pressure on that rod from the screw. Like so. Right, I've not pinned the track fully down, but I'd obviously put pins in the side of the sleepers there. But if I hold the track in position, I can now easily operate the point, and when this is all powered up, it will just spring back and forward like so. Now that was almost skipping off the side of the hook there, so a little bit more pressure on the screw might just be needed. Yeah, that's better. So there you go, surface mounting. It really is as easy as mounting under the baseboard, and it's got a whole host of applications, from an area that's tight under the baseboard to a storage yard. Wiring up these Twistlock point motors is so easy. There are 4 wires that come from the Twistlock. We've got a pair of greens, and I've just connected them together to a single green, which is a common return, and that goes back to the power supply. We've got a red and a black, and these go either side of the passing connection switch here. As you can see there, I've got the red, the black, and this middle one goes back to the power supply to provide, if you like, the positive voltage. So we've got the black wire coming in this way into the switch, and it either goes down the red or down the black wire to push the turnout in either direction. So I'll try that just now. Some modelers will prefer to solder the wires to the passing connection switch. However, you don't have to. Peco will do a PL31 push-on terminal connector and shrouds pack. You can just basically crimp the wire to that connector terminal and slide it on to the connections on the switch. You'll notice the middle one there, I've put the shroud on it. That's just so it doesn't bridge and short out between the power cable and the red one there. You can put them on all 3, but really it doesn't require that. I've just gone for the middle one. If you recall from earlier on in the video, I mentioned this little thin wire which comes from the frog of the turnout, and this is for switching the polarity, and that goes directly to one terminal at the end of the twin micro switch. Now in reality, if I was doing this on a layout, I would trim this wire and solder on a different bit of coloured wire that's different to the wire that I've used elsewhere in the wiring, just so I don't get confused and I know exactly what that wire is for. The other 2 terminals would go to the positive and the negative rail of the main bus wire, or indeed feed them down from the track on fish plates into these terminals. And again, you can use the soldering method or the PL31 push-on terminals provided by Peco. This would then get attached to the bottom of your twist lock, making sure the needle goes through that little red rocker switch. Well, I hope this video has been helpful for you to learn how to install, wire up and operate the Peco Twistlock point motor and micro switch. It really is a great piece of kit, it's affordable, and it's available at most model rail retailers. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be notified of all future uploads from the channel. In the meantime, thanks for watching, enjoy your modelling, and cheers for now.